Hello everybody, my name is Nick and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be talking with you guys about how to do a proper bulk and build muscle during that bulk. We are very excited and very passionate to share all this content with you guys, and it really is all that you guys would need to be able to be successful. So the more engagement we have, the more videos that we're able to put out, the more free content we give you guys. And that works better for absolutely everybody. So let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about, and I have 8 points that I will be talking about a little bit here. And they're kind of grow in chronological order from what I view as most important and what I view as not necessarily the least important, but stuff that is stuff you don't really have to think about, and it's just natural daily things. So we're going to start off with the number one thing that is the most important, and that is set goals. Now, when I say set goals, I don't mean gain weight. I want to gain weight. That's so general, right? Don't say I want to lose weight. That's not good enough. They need to be specific. They need to have an end date when you need to be done them by, and they need to have an end weight that you need to be at, okay? So you have to be as specific as possible. If I was to turn the camera to my right now, you would see my goals list taped on the wall. And I have a specific weight that I want to be at. I have a specific weight that I want to be pushing. And I have a specific weight that I want to be squatting by a specific date. Okay, so be as specific as possible. The second point is going to be, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So many people enter their, weight gain or their bulk or their fat loss journey and think that, everything's going to happen in 2 weeks. And when it doesn't happen in 2 weeks, they just give up. Why do you think people always make their New Year's resolutions and then stop going to the gym after 3 weeks? Why did they stop going to the gym? Well, because they don't see results quick enough, because they have no idea what they're doing and they give up. Okay, so realizing that it's going to take consistency over a long period of time rather than a huge energy expenditure over a short period of time is a very good mental image to have of what is going to be needed for you guys to succeed. The third thing that you guys need to focus on is being in a caloric surplus. Now, what does that mean? It basically means that if your caloric maintenance level, the amount of calories that you need to consume to stay the same weight, is 2,500 calories, you need to be building up your caloric intake by measurements of 250 to 300 grams a day. So, for instance, my caloric maintenance level is roughly 3,250 calories a day. Because I'm very active, I expend a lot of energy. I have upped it now to 3,500 calories. And over the last 5 weeks that I've been bulking, I have gained just over 5 kilograms of weight, which is incredibly good for me. Because I'm an ectomorph and I have always struggled to put on weight in my life. So I'm very happy with the results that I have gotten, and it all comes down to how much calories you're putting in, because there's something called your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, and that basically is the amount of calories that you're taking in compared to the amount of energy that you're expending throughout your day. So if you are trying to gain weight, you need to be focusing on the fact that you need to be consuming more energy than you're expending, okay? Now, there is a slippery slope with that, because you do not want to be gaining too much weight, week to week. Anywhere between 0.5 to, 1 kilogram a week, or, 1 to 2 pounds a week is basically what you're trying to strive for. So if you're gaining 3, 4, 5 pounds a week, you need to cut back the calories. You gotta change up what you're consuming and the amount that you're consuming. The fourth point is macronutrient breakdown. Now, this goes along with the fact that you need to be in a caloric surplus, but it's one thing to just consume 500 grams of carbohydrates and very little amount of protein and fat. It's completely different to be consuming the proper amount of fat and the proper amount of protein in order to reach your goals. So for me, and I'll do it for both, some people use kilograms, some people use pounds. I'll do it for both quickly here. If you are using pounds, you want to be consuming anywhere between 0.5 and 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body fat that you have, okay? I'm not gonna go into the math, you guys can do it yourself. If you are going under kilograms, you're going to be consuming anywhere between 1.5 and 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body fat. So what you want to be doing when it comes to your fat intake is, if you're working in pounds, you're going to be consuming anywhere between 0.25 to 0.5 grams of fat per pound that you have. And if you're working in kilograms, you're going to be consuming anywhere between 0.7 and 1 gram of fat per kilogram that you have. The fifth point that I want to talk about is work out to help your goals. And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to gain weight and bulk, it does not make any sense for you to be going out and running marathons. It's completely 100% counterproductive to what you're trying to do and what your goals are, okay? If you are trying to bulk and gain weight, you need to be lifting heavier weights. You need to be making sure that you have enough rest in between your sets to make sure that your muscles are fully recovered and able to actually push through and not lose form while you're actually working out. It's very important to not work your muscles too hard when trying to gain and build muscle, because there's something called muscle overload and overtraining and all these things, and to overtrain, that could knock you on your butt for 3 months where you're not able to progress, and you're actually just going to get worse and worse. So you don't want to be pushing too far past your means. Everything about this is in moderation, and like I said earlier, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You need to be doing things that are actually conducive to helping you build muscle and gain weight. So limit the amount of cardio that you're doing. And if you are doing cardio, make sure it is highly intense cardio. So something like sprints or high intensity interval training, which is more beneficial for actually building muscle than it is for, losing muscle, because you'll be able to keep your muscle mass if you are doing those two things. Sixth point that I want to talk about is progressive overload. A lot of people think that in order for you to get big and strong, you have to, the number one thing you need to focus on is lifting really heavy weights and doing as much weight as you possibly can, but that is so unbelievably wrong. If you guys head to our website at www.thejourney.com, I wrote a blog post about the fact that I lifted heavy, so between 1 rep and 5 reps, for an entire month. And I listed everything that I noticed and everything that changed in my experience with the whole program. And if you think that working out and doing 1 rep maxes every single week for 5 weeks or 10 weeks is going to help you progress past a certain point, you're so wrong. So you need to read that and make sure that you are checking it out. I'll actually link it below in the comments of this Facebook video that we post up here. And so when I mean progressive overload, I basically just mean making sure that your muscles are working harder than they normally have to on a week-to-week basis. So to do the same workouts with the same weights for multiple weeks in a row does absolutely nothing for you. You need to be either adding more weight to what you're lifting, adding more repetitions, decreasing the amount of rest that you take. Adding on supersets is another great way of doing it. So there's plenty of ways that you can make exercises more difficult and be able to accent that progressive overload that you need to be doing. And I cannot stress this enough. you need to be focusing on proper form more than weight, okay? If you are somebody who goes down and does 100 push-ups in a row, but your range of motion is about 6 inches, you're not helping yourself out at all. In order for your muscles to truly grow, they need to be elongated their full range of motion so that they have the ability to grow over that full range. You know, so many people go down and they do push-ups or they do bench press, but they stop, 4 inches away from their chest, and all of a sudden, once they're told to go a little bit deeper, they can't do it. They might be able to push 300 pounds on the bench press, but they're stopping this far away from their chest, and they can only do 225 when they actually touch their chest because their range of motion has just been obliterated from their lack of range of motion, okay? So focus on proper form over the amount of weight that you are actually lifting. It is way more important. The 7th point that I want to talk about is sleep. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, where it's like something that you don't really need to think about. It's subconscious, but it is incredibly important to what you need to be doing on a daily basis, because if you are not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough rest and recovery, because your body heals itself when you're asleep. And you need to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep regardless every single night. I know for some it is harder to do than for others, whether or not you have a family, you have young kids, you work 12 hours a day like I used to. There's so many different reasons as to why you would not get enough sleep, but you need to find one reason why you do get enough sleep, and that is the reason that you need to take with you every single night. Make sure you're conscious to not be on your phone late at night. Make sure that, if you struggle to fall asleep, that, you can do a little bit of meditation before sleep. I listen to transcendental meditation videos all the time to help me fall asleep. And I've listened to the same video now for probably 2 months. I have still never made it to the end of the video because I always fall asleep beforehand. So it's incredibly good and incredibly powerful, and definitely something that I recommend. So the whole point of getting your 7 to 9 hours of sleep is you're trying to hit your REM sleep, and that is your rapid eye movement sleep, and that's the deepest sleep that you could possibly get, which allows your body to have the most amount of rest and recovery as possible. So hitting your REM sleep is incredibly important to your overall goals and reaching them, and it is not something that you can take lightly. The 8th and final point is supplementation. Now, for many people, for everybody, I should say, you're always going to hit a plateau. You're always going to hit a plateau where your body gets to the point where you can't progress through it without switching things up. Now, you should always switch up your workout routines every 2 weeks. That's what I do. And you should always look into finding different ways to get the edge when it comes to reaching your goals. And I don't mean like take steroids or human growth hormones. I'm talking about taking a little bit of protein powder or some creatine or some BCAAs or branched chain amino acids. Using those to help with your overall goals are going to take you a long way, because if your body is not used to it, it's going to help you out immensely. Obviously, protein gets you more protein into your body, which allows you to keep your muscle mass when you're actually building your muscle and all that kind of stuff. Your creatine basically helps synthesize your body's ability to actually absorb the protein that's coming in, because at one given serving, your body can only consume roughly 30 to 40 grams of protein. And so if you take creatine post-workout, your body's going to be able to absorb much more of it than it normally would have because of the creatine. No, creatine is not a steroid. It's not something like that. It just helps your body synthesize and absorb the protein that it's actually getting. And your BCAAs are very good for energy consumption and energy expenditure. So what I mean by that is, you know, they help your muscles expand and actually take in glycogen, which is your main source of energy when you're working out, is glycogen. So when you take BCAAs, you are allowing your muscles to actually take in more energy and therefore exert more energy when you're actually working out. So those are my 8 points that I think everybody should focus on when it comes to building a bulk and building muscles, because it's not for everybody. It's harder for most to be able to bulk and put on muscle. But if I'm able to do it, you can definitely do it. And if you guys have any questions, make sure that you post them below if there's something that you want me to cover. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed the video, and I look forward to posting some more up here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Bye now.